Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, honestly, today I feel a little bit complicit.
That is a heavy way to start a Tuesday. Complicit in what?
In the exact thing we're supposed to be critiquing today. We have a massive stack of notes here centered around Rebecca Philipson's novel, How to Get Away with Murder. And the premise is so sticky, so voyeuristic, that just by analyzing it, I feel like we're playing the villain's game.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Because the hook of this book isn't the murder itself, it's the manual.
Exactly. For those of you who hasn't read the briefing yet, picture this. You pick up a thriller. Inside, there's a story about a detective, sure, but every other chapter is a literal, like, a for dummies guide written by an active serial killer.
And he's not writing a manifesto. He's not, ranting about society or hearing voices from a dog. He's writing a business book.
Right.
He's treating homicide like it's a side hustle you can master if you just buy his course.
It's the 4-hour work week, but for strangulation.
That is dark, but incredibly accurate. And that's why we're doing this deep dive. We aren't just looking at the plot today. We really need to look at what this book says about us.
Yeah.
About you, me, and the whole true crime industrial complex.
Right. We have notes here on forensic countermeasures, on institutional betrayal in the police force, and the psychology of the functioning psychopath. So the mission today is to essentially verify the manual.
Check the math.
Exactly. Is Denver Brady's advice actually good? And what happens when a fictional guide bleeds into the real world?
Let's open the file.
So structurally, this book is doing something really interesting. It's a dual narrative. On one track, you have the manual. This is written in the first person by our killer, who calls himself Denver Brady.
And the tone of these sections is vital to understand. It's not scary in the traditional sense. It's chatty.
Yeah.
He addresses the reader directly as you. He breaks the fourth wall constantly.
He uses hashtags. I mean, he's like, welcome to my channel, smash that like button, but for disposing of bodies. It's incredibly disarming because he's actually funny. Arrogant, sure, but he is funny.
Which is a tactic. It's grooming.
Grooming.
Yes, he's grooming the reader the exact same way a predator grooms a victim. He makes you feel like an insider, like you're part of an exclusive club.
Then on the other track, we have the investigation. This is written in the third person, which creates a totally different psychological distance. This track follows D.I. Sam Hansen,
A detective returning to work after a massive mental breakdown. She is fragile, she's medicated, and she is investigating the murder of a 14-year-old girl named Charlotte Mathers.
And the connection between these two worlds isn't subtle at all. At Charlotte Mathers' crime scene, they find a copy of Denver Brady's book.
A physical copy of the manual sitting right next to the body.
And if that wasn't enough, the killer carved initials into the tree above her. CM plus DB.
CM for Charlotte Mathers. DB for Denver Brady.
So immediately, the stakes are set. This isn't just a whodunit, it's a who wrote it. The detective isn't just chasing a killer, she's chasing an author.
And the central tension that drives everything is whether the author is the killer or if the killer is a student of the author.
Let's start where the book starts, with the teacher. We need to deep dive into Denver Brady.
His persona is fascinating because it is a direct, deliberate rejection of everything we think we know about serial killers. If you watch Mindhunter or read standard FBI profiles, you expect trauma, you expect a head injury, an abusive mother, a history of bedwetting.
The McDonald triad.
Exactly, the McDonald triad.
Yeah.
Animal cruelty, fire setting, bedwetting.
And Denver Brady mocks that. He literally says, I wasn't abused, I wasn't dropped on my head, I don't have mommy issues.
He calls those cliches. He suggests that society and psychologists really invented those narratives to make us feel safer. We desperately want to believe that monsters are created by bad circumstances, because that implies we can fix the circumstances.
Right. If a monster is made, it can be unmade, we can intervene, we can have better social programs. But Denver says, no, I chose this.
He calls it a vocation. He compares it to other kids reading about Narnia or wanting to be astronauts. He just happened to like reading about Ted Bundy and Mary Ann Cotton. He views murder as a career choice.
It's the tech bro energy I mentioned earlier. He treats it like a startup. He wants notoriety, he wants credit for his art, but he doesn't want the inconvenience of prison. Hence the pseudonym, hence the book.
He wants to be famous and free. That is the ultimate display of ego. He genuinely believes he is smart enough to have both.
So let's look at his curriculum. He lays out very specific rules for aspiring killers, and I want to parse these because some of them are terrifyingly pragmatic. Let's start with rule number 1. victim selection.
This is where he hits us with statistics. He claims that 25% of captures happen because killers target people they know or people who live near them.
So his rule is basically avoid patterns. Don't kill your neighbor. Don't kill your ex-wife.
It's the stranger danger reality flipped on its head. Most murders are committed by someone the victim knows. That's why the first thing cops do is check the spouse, the boyfriend, the business partner. Denver Brady says remove that link entirely. If there is no relationship, there is no motive to trace.
But he gets very specific about who to target instead. And he has a major rule about children.
Don't kill children.
Which sounds, moral, like he has a line he won't cross.
Not at all. It's purely budgetary.
Budgetary, wow.
He explains that when a child is killed, the police budget effectively becomes infinite. Public pressure skyrockets. The media never lets it go. The politicians get involved. It brings way too much heat.
It's a strict risk management decision.
Exactly. He's looking at ROI, return on investment. Instead, he advises targeting the suggestible, people pleasers, the vulnerable, people who have been conditioned by society to be nice.
He calls it the Samaritan technique.
Which is straight out of the Ted Bundy playbook. Bundy used to wear a fake cast on his arm or hobble around on crutches. He would drop books near his Volkswagen Beetle and just wait for a woman to come help him.
Because it's really hard to say no to someone who genuinely looks like they need help.
Precisely. It weaponizes empathy. Denver Brady teaches his readers to look for people who literally cannot say no. He views human kindness as a security flaw to be exploited.
That is just chilling. Okay, rule number 2, the kill site. He gets deep into the logistics of geography here.
He suggests a mid-sized city, 6 to 8 hours away from your home.
Now, why that specific distance? I was looking at the notes on this earlier. Why not further? Why not just fly somewhere across the country?
It's the Goldilocks zone of alibis. If you go too close, your phone pinging a tower is inherently suspicious. If you fly to another country, there's a massive paper trail. You've got tickets, passports, TSA cameras, credit card charges. But a 6-hour drive, you can leave your house at 8 p.m., drive straight through the night, arrive by 2 a.m.
Commit the act.
And be back by 8 a.m. You can be seen buying your morning milk or logging into your work Slack on time. You establish a virtual alibi of normalcy.
He focuses on the hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. He calls it the optimum kill time.
Which makes perfect sense biologically. That's deep REM sleep for the vast majority of the population.
And sociologically, it's a dead zone.
The bars are closed. The early morning joggers aren't up yet. The delivery trucks haven't really started their main routes. But there's a crucial police element, too. That time slot often overlaps with shift changes in smaller police departments. Patrols might be lighter as officers head back to the precinct to do paperwork.
See, that's the detail that really sticks with me. He's not just crazy, he's insanely efficient. He's done a corporate time and motion study on murder.
And that efficiency extends right into rule number 3, avoiding forensics.
The crispy creme rule.
This is a great, if incredibly disturbing, anecdote. In the book, Denver specifically warns readers not to eat the victim's food. He tells a story about a killer who was caught simply because they ate a Krispy Kreme donut at the scene and left the leftovers behind on the counter.
I mean, on the surface, that sounds obvious, right? Don't leave your spit at a crime scene.
But let's look at the forensics here, because he goes deep. Denver is actually talking about touch DNA and transfer theory. In the 90s, you needed a pool of blood or a very significant semen sample to get a match. Today, the microscopic enzymes in saliva left on a crust or even dead skin cells left on a plastic wrapper can replicate a full genetic profile.
It connects back to Locard's exchange principle, right? Every contact leaves a trace.
Exactly. You cannot enter a physical space without leaving something behind or taking something with you. Denver is obsessed with minimizing that exchange to an absolute zero.
But there's a psychological layer to the donut thing, too. Why would a killer stop to eat in the middle of a murder?
Dominance. It's the Goldilocks syndrome, making yourself at home in the violator's space, eating their food, drinking their milk, using their bathroom. It's a way of saying, I own this space now. I own you. Denver warns against it not just because of the DNA risk, but because it's a massive loss of discipline. It's indulging an emotional urge that gets you caught.
He actually mentions the bathroom specifically. He says, don't take a dump at the crime scene.
Which happens way more often than people think. It's an adrenaline response.
Yeah.
Your body goes into fight or flight and your bowels react. But again, Denver frames it as control your biology, control the outcome.
Now, a teacher needs case studies to prove his methods work. And Denver provides them. He confesses to a whole string of murders throughout the book to prove his expertise to the reader.
These are his resume builders.
Yeah.
He lists Jono in 1993. His first kill at age 12. Claims he drowned a boy in a local quarry.
Sarah in 1997, a girl at a convent.
Betty in 2007, an elderly woman.
And Melanie in 2019, this is the one he really harks on. He calls this one his masterpiece.
And this is where the sheer manipulation really shines through. He claims he killed Melanie, but he framed her abusive boyfriend, Richie Scott. He used Richie's extensive history of domestic violence, the restraining orders, the frequent police calls, the bruises. He used all of that against him. He staged the scene to look exactly like a domestic incident gone tragically wrong.
So Richie Stott is currently sitting in a maximum security prison for a murder Denver Brady committed.
And Denver is incredibly proud of it. He views it as the ultimate proof of his genius. He didn't just kill a woman, he weaponized the entire justice system to clean up his mess for him.
So that's the teacher. He seems completely invincible. He's smart, he's careful, and he is actively teaching a generation of copycats. But now we really have to pivot to the student, or, well, the adversary, D.I. Sam Hansen.
Sam is such a compelling protagonist because she is the total antithesis of Denver. Denver is polished, arrogant, and seemingly in absolute control. She is crumbling.
She is a mess. And I don't mean that in the cool, gritty Hollywood detective way. I mean in a raw human being falling apart at the seams way.
The text makes a very clear distinction between past Sam and present Sam. Past Sam was a high flyer, conquered Kilimanjaro, hunted down serial rapists, truly believed in the badge and the mission.
And present Sam.
Present Sam is heavily medicated. She lives in oversized leggings because her actual work clothes don't fit her anymore. She is obsessed with Lindt chocolate balls. She eats them constantly, especially in her therapy sessions, until she actually feels physically sick.
And the music. She listens to Slipknot on full blast in her car.
It's sensory overload. She's trying to drown out the intrusive thoughts. If the outside noise is louder than the inside noise, she can survive the commute. It's a brutally accurate depiction of someone trying to hold back a tidal wave of trauma with a very, very thin wall.
We really need to talk about the trigger. Because why did she break down? It wasn't just the job getting to her. It wasn't just seeing dead bodies.
No, it was a specific incident of sexual harassment and assault by a colleague, D.S. Lowry. But, and this is the crucial part, the trauma that completely broke her wasn't just the assault itself. It was the institutional betrayal.
Break that concept down for us because it's a huge theme here.
Institutional betrayal is a recognized psychological term. It happens when an institution you deeply trust, like the military, the church, or in this case, the police force, fails to protect you, or even worse, actively covers up the harm done to you by someone within its ranks.
In Sam's case, it was her boss.
DCI Harry Blakelaw. He was her godfather. He was supposed to be her ultimate protector. But when she finally reported Lowry, Blakelaw didn't fire him. He didn't arrest him. He transferred him to a different precinct. He protected the blue wall of silence. He chose the reputation of the force over the safety and sanity of his own officer.
That's what broke her, the complete loss of faith in the system.
Exactly, because if the system doesn't work for her, a decorated detective, how can she possibly believe it works for the victim she's supposed to be helping?
So she comes back to work, incredibly fragile and cynical, specifically for the Charlotte Mathers case. The 14-year-old girl under the tree with the CM plus DB carving.
And immediately, the system fails her again. She wants to solve the murder. She wants to catch the guy who did this to a child. But because of her mental state, she is assigned to investigate the book instead.
She's completely sidelined. They tell her, go find the author, Sam. Go chase paper. Leave the real police work to the grown-ups.
But Sam, being Sam, dives all the way in. She and her trainee, TDC Adam Taylor, who is basically a golden retriever in human form, constantly trying to make her tea and keep her calm, they start deeply analyzing the text of the manual. And this is where the deep dive gets really technical. They use linguistic profiling.
I love this part. It's not just about what he says, it's about how he says it.
It's about idiolect. Everyone has a totally unique way of speaking based on where they grew up, their class, their education, their parents. Sam spots a tiny phrase in the book, black cats.
In the book, Denver mentions casually wearing a Black Cats t-shirt while doing recon.
Now, to an American or a Londoner, a black cat is just a Halloween decoration, or maybe bad luck. But in the northeast of England, specifically Sunderland, the Black Cats is deeply tribal. It's the official nickname for the Sunderland AFC football team.
It's a shibboleth.
Exactly. It's a password, a word that reveals your true origin without you even realizing it. Denver Brady is trying so hard to sound like this placeless, sophisticated international expert, but his idiolect betrays him. He's leaking geography. He has a Geordie background.
They also follow the money trail. They find that the massive profits from the website howtogetawaywithmurder.com are going to a student account in Glasgow, then bouncing to a bank in Cardiff. It's a classic money mule situation to wash the funds.
And they track the physical production of the book, too.
Yeah.
It was printed by a small place called Swinton's in Brighton. But, and here's the kicker, right after the police make inquiries, Swinton's mysteriously burns to the ground. Arson.
Which leads them straight to a suspect, Andrei Albescu. He's a Romanian man. He's the one who was caught on camera burning down the printer. He's the one receiving the money in those accounts. And when they catch him, he folds immediately. He confesses. He says, "I am Denver Brady."
It seems like a totally open and shut case. The boss, Harry Blakelaw, is absolutely thrilled. He wants to pin everything on Andre. It's neat. It wraps up the arson, the illegal book distribution, and potentially all the murders in one tidy little press conference.
But Sam knows it's wrong.
She knows he's a patsy. She interviews him, and he's clearly reading from a script. He doesn't fit the linguistic profile at all. He's not the arrogant teacher we met in Section 1. He's just a desperate guy being paid a lot of money to take the fall.
And this is where we move into Section 3, deconstructing the truth. Because Sam starts to realize that Denver Brady is the quintessential unreliable narrator.
We spent the entire first part of this discussion believing Denver's case studies. We treated them as cold, hard facts. Sam starts fact-checking them against real police records, and the walls start to crumble fast.
Let's run down the list. Jono, the first kill. The boy in the quarry.
Sam finds out that a boy named Jono did actually die in a quarry in 1993, but it was a tragic accident. He was swimming, he cramped up, and he drowned. There was zero evidence of murder. Denver just appropriated a local tragic news story to build his own mythology.
He literally stole a community's tragedy to make himself look tough.
Precisely. It's pathetic, really.
And Sarah, the girl at the convent.
Tragic suicide. She wasn't murdered either.
And Sean, the guy Denver claims he used the Samaritan technique on to lure into his car.
Sean is alive. He actually shows up at the police station trying to sell his exclusive story to the tabloid press. He's a total scammer, but he's definitely not a ghost.
And Daisy.
Another retelling of an old news story about a woman named Marguerite who was killed by someone completely different.
So wait, if Jono, Sarah, Sean, and Daisy are all completely fake, is Denver Brady even a real killer? Is this whole manual just a dark fantasy novel written by a total fraud?
That's the exact question Sam wrestles with. But then she finds the truth. There are real murders in the book. 2 of them. Betty, the elderly woman, and Melanie, the woman with the abusive boyfriend.
Why those 2? I mean, why lie about all the others but tell the absolute truth about these 2 specific women?
It's the needle in a stack of needles strategy. If you want to hide a murder, you don't hide it in a void. You hide it inside a massive serial killer spree.
Sam finds a discrepancy with Betty's murder, right?
Yes, she does. In the book, Denver claims he killed Betty very quickly. A mercy kill, almost. But the actual autopsy reveals Betty was tortured. Her fingers were brutally broken before she died. Denver lied in the book to minimize the cruelty, perhaps to make himself seem more professional and less sadistic to his readers.
And then the massive identity reveal drops. Sam connects the dots using the sapphire ring Denver claimed he stole from Betty as a trophy.
Betty Brown had a nephew, a very wealthy, extremely arrogant London lawyer named Julius Windsor.
Julius Windsor is Denver Brady.
Yes, the Black Cats reference. Julius grew up in the Northeast before entirely reinventing himself as this posh, high society London lawyer. And the motive, it wasn't a grand vocation. It wasn't some dark art. He brutally killed his Aunt Betty for her money so he could fund his own law firm.
It is so mundane.
It's completely banal, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's not a genius super predator like Hannibal Lecter. He's just a greedy, entitled nephew who wanted a shortcut to wealth.
But why write the whole book? Why go through the insane trouble of framing Melanie's boyfriend?
This is where his specific brand of evil gets really interesting. A cold case detective named Duggan was getting dangerously close to reopening the Betty Brown murder. Julius panicked. He needed a massive smokescreen, so he killed Melanie and framed her boyfriend, Richie Scott, just to prove to himself and the world that he could create a perfect murder. Then he wrote How to Get Away with Murder.
So he created a fictional serial killer persona, Denver Brady, who confesses to Betty's murder, but buries that true confession in a long list of fake crimes and other real murders.
Exactly. If Denver Brady is a famous, elusive serial killer who takes credit for absolutely everything in the news, then Julius Windsor, the boring corporate lawyer, is never, ever suspected of killing his own aunt. He's actively confusing the police by giving them way too much data to look at.
It's genius in a deeply twisted way. But wait, we still have a dead 14-year-old girl in Holland Park. Charlotte Mathers. Did Denver kill her?
This brings us to section 4, the twist. And this is where the book really breaks your heart. Sam realizes Julius didn't kill Charlotte.
How does she figure that out?
The timeline doesn't fit. The carving on the tree, the CM plus DB forensic show, it took at least 30 minutes to carve. The killer knew Charlotte's route perfectly to have that kind of time. But Julius Windsor has zero connection to Charlotte. He lives in a completely different world. He wouldn't know her schedule.
So who did it?
It was a copycat. But not just a random fan. It was Uncle Jack, Charlotte's own uncle.
Oh, God. That is horrific.
It's devastating. We find out that Uncle Jack had bought and read the book.
He was a fan of Denver Brady.
He was a dedicated student. In the manual, Denver talks at length about using GPS tracking devices to learn a victim's daily routine without having to physically follow them. Jack literally put an Apple AirTag or a similar tracker in Charlotte's school bag.
He used the manual against his own niece.
He used the manual, he killed his niece. The text implies it was likely to silence her regarding ongoing abuse, though the book keeps the exact motive shadowy. And then he planted the physical book at the scene and carved the initials into the tree, specifically to frame the mysterious Denver Brady.
He thought, hey, there's a famous serial killer in the news right now taking credit for everything. I can hide my horrific family crime behind his legend.
Precisely, and he almost got away with it. Sam catches him because she realizes the tracker theory from the book was the key to the whole timeline. Jack is arrested, and he actually admits to the police that he learned exactly how to divert suspicion just by reading Julius's book.
That is the ultimate horror of this story. The book wasn't just a story, it was a loaded weapon left on a table. It leaked out into reality and got an innocent girl killed.
It completely validates Sam's deepest fear. The true crime industrial complex isn't just harmless passive entertainment. It actively teaches people how to be monsters.
So we have two bad guys now. Julius Windsor, the arrogant author and killer, and Uncle Jack, the copycat. Jack is caught. But what about Julius?
That brings us right into section 5, the confrontation.
Harry Blakelaw, the corrupt boss, wants to permanently close the case. He's pinning the Denver Brady crimes on Andre, the Romanian patsy. He completely refuses to listen to Sam's theory about Julius Windsor.
He essentially tells her to drop it or lose her career, and when she pushes back, he suspends her, takes her badge.
Which is the classic noir trope, right? The lone cop who knows too much gets their gun and badge taken away by the angry captain.
But Sam is already broken. She has absolutely nothing left to lose at this point, so she goes rogue. She walks straight into Julius Windsor's fancy glass-walled law office.
This interview scene is bone-chilling. Julius is so incredibly arrogant. He knows that she knows, but he also knows she can't prove a single thing in court.
He admits absolutely nothing on tape, of course, but he heavily gloats. He actively mocks Sam. He brings up her trauma. He brings up her daddy issues with Blakelaw, and then he calls her a minor character in his story.
That line is so crucial. You're a minor character.
It perfectly encapsulates his narcissism. He truly believes he is the main protagonist of reality. He doesn't care about the people he hurt. He doesn't care about the girl who died because of his book. He only cares about his legacy as a famous, uncaught author. He thinks he's already won the game.
But the universe, or maybe just brutal karma, has a way of balancing things out. Because Richie Scott, the abusive boyfriend that Julius framed for Melanie's murder, manages to escape from prison.
This is a massive plot pivot that you do not see coming. Richie finds out through the prison grapevine that Denver Brady, who the news says is Andre, has been caught. Richie realizes he was framed by this author. He manages to escape custody during a prison transfer or a lapse in hospital security, and he is out for blood.
But he's confused about who to target. He tracks his own ex-girlfriend Lindsay, who is currently in hiding. He tracks her to a local vet clinic. But Sam was actually there earlier doing investigating. Richie mistakenly assumes Sam knows exactly where Lindsay is hiding.
So Richie Scott decides to break into Sam's house to interrogate her.
And this is the Home Alone ending, and I mean that in the darkest, most violent, R-rated way possible.
It really is.
Yeah.
Sam is waiting for him. She knows he might come, or maybe she's just so paranoid and traumatized at this point that she's ready for literally anyone to come through her door.
She booby-trapped her own stairs with a tripwire, which, by the way, was heavily referenced earlier in the serial killer's book as a so-called self-defense tip.
The irony is incredibly palpable. Sam is using the killer's exact methods against a killer. Richie breaks in, he trips on the wire, he falls hard, and Sam mercilessly attacks him with an aluminum baseball bat.
And here's the huge moment, the moral event horizon of the entire book.
Richie is down. He's subdued. He's badly battered. Legally speaking, the active threat has ended. The imminent danger requirement for lethal self-defense is completely gone.
He actually pleads with her. Sam could just call the police right then. She could arrest him. She could be the good cop she used to be before all the trauma.
But she doesn't. She stands over him, looking at him, and she thinks about the system. The system that protected her harasser, Lowry. The system that failed Melanie. The system that is currently letting Julius Windsor walk completely free just because he wears a nice suit.
She realizes that if she lets Richie live, he goes back to prison, maybe. But true justice won't be served. The system will just keep churning out victims.
So Sam makes a choice. She kills Richie. She finishes him off right there. She essentially executes him on her living room floor.
And this is the part that I think requires the absolute most discussion from readers. She uses the manual. She uses the very book she spent the whole novel desperately investigating.
She stages the crime scene.
She physically wraps his dead fingers around the handle of the bat to plant his fingerprints. She paces around to get her heart rate up and rehearses her 999 call to sound perfectly breathless and panicked. She sets the entire stage to fit the exact media narrative of a lone female defending herself against a crazed intruder.
She executes the perfect murder.
Which brings us to the outro of our discussion and the title of the book itself.
How to Get Away with Murder. It's not just the title of the fake manual that Julius wrote. It's a literal description of what Sam does at the very end.
The student completely surpasses the master. Julius Windsor gets caught. It's heavily implied his cover is blown via Richie's escape and Sam's hidden knowledge that she leaks. Uncle Jack definitely gets caught. But Sam Hansen, she actually gets away with it.
It's a profound, deeply cynical commentary on modern justice. Sam has fully become a vigilante. She delivers the violent justice that the law simply couldn't or wouldn't. But to do it, she had to become a cold-blooded killer herself.
There's a bonus chapter at the end of the Denver Brady book where he discusses killing people, She talks extensively about the self-defense ploy. Sam essentially enacts that exact bonus chapter, word for word.
It leaves you with a very uncomfortable moral question as you close the book. We spent the whole story rooting for Sam. She's the victim, she's the survivor, she's the hero detective. But in the end, she brutally beats a man to death, even if he was a monster, and expertly lies to the police about it.
Right. Is she a hero for taking out a monster like Richie Scott permanently? Or has she become exactly what she was hunting the whole time?
There's that famous Nietzsche quote, right? He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. Sam Hansen isn't the learner anymore. She is the master.
That is a deeply chilling thought to end on. How to Get Away with Murder by Rebecca Philipson. It's a wild ride.
A very dark, very twisted ride.
But I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. If Sam could stage a murder that perfectly based on a book she read, what if the real manual, the real perfect guide to getting away with murder is the one Sam just wrote in her own head? Think about it. Thanks for diving in with us today. Check your locks tonight. And maybe, just maybe, don't write a book about your crimes.
Definitely don't do that. Keep it to yourself.
See you next time.